You can use the Johnson Labs website to find models that can be deployed as a private API endpoint on Databricks. Today, I'm going to deploy a model that detects oncology-specific entities on Databricks as a private API endpoint. This model extracts oncological entities and relations, was designed to detect and classify a wide spectrum of oncological entities ranging from adenopathy, biomarkers, cancer diagnosis, hormonal therapy, etc. To start the deployment process, click on the Deploy to Databricks button on the model card page. This opens up the Databricks Marketplace listing page of the model. You need to be logged into a Databricks account to get access to the listing. On the listing page, you will find detailed instruction about the model and also how to use the model endpoint. Next, click on the Get Instant Access button located at the top right corner of the page. A pop-up will show up that displays the model available within the listing. After accepting the terms and conditions, click the Get Instant Access button available on the pop-up. You now have access to the model on your Databricks account. You can start creating endpoints from it. The model is located on a Delta Share catalog. New model versions published will be immediately available to you. In order to start using the model as a API endpoint, go back to the listing page and click on the Preview Notebook button. Every medical language model on Databricks comes with a notebook that you can run to deploy the notebook as a serving API endpoint and also query it. In order to start using the notebook, click on the Import Notebook button. This will import your notebook to your Databricks workspace and you can use a cluster to run it. There are some required input parameters for running the notebook. The Databricks access token and Databricks host are required to create the endpoint programmatically from within the notebook. In order to get a Databricks token, firstly go to your settings page on Databricks. From there, click on the developer menu. You can generate a token from there. Once the Databricks token is generated, copy it and paste it in the Databricks access token input on the notebook. The Databricks host URL can be copied from the URL itself. The JSL license is required because this model on Databricks runs on a bring your own license pricing policy. In order to get a JSL license, firstly go to myjohnsonlabs.com. If you don't have an account, please create it with the Create Account button. Next, fill up the sign up form and click on the Create Account button. Follow the rest of the instructions to get your account activated. Once your My Johnson Labs account is activated, you can now buy a pay-as-you-go license from your account. From the Buy a License page, Fill up the payment method with your credit card information. Opt in for a trial license if available. Agree to the terms and conditions and click on the Create License button. Following this, a license would be generated for you and it will be available via the My Licenses page. Next, copy the license key from My Licenses page and use it on the Databricks notebook. The hardware target can be used to deploy the endpoint to either a CPU or GPU machine. Next, click on the Run All button to run the notebook. The notebook installs some dependencies, creates an input medical text data, and deploys the model to a private API endpoint via the deploy function. It might take few minutes for the API endpoint to start. Once the endpoint starts successfully, you can start sending requests to it. In order to make requests to the private API endpoints, you can use nlp.query endpoint function. This function takes endpoint name as the first parameter, followed by a string data containing your medical text as the second parameter. As you can see, the endpoint has detected some ontological entities and made some classification on the input document. For example, the left has been identified as a direction with a confidence score. Similarly, the mastectomy has been identified as a cancer surgery, also with a confidence score. And there are other entities as well, each with their own classification and their own associated confidence score. The confidence score indicates how confident the model is regarding the accuracy of its classification. You can also send an array of text to the endpoint. As you see in the example, I am sending two clinical texts to the endpoint. Now we are showing the result on a data frame. So you can see we have ontological entity recognition for both the documents and confidence score associated with its classification. The JSL license used by the endpoint constantly tracks your usages, and you will be billed according to the usage at the end of the month. So it might be wise to stop your endpoint when you are not using it. To stop the endpoint, locate your endpoint from the serving page. Then to the top right, there is a stop button that you can use to stop the endpoint. Thank you.